In the UK, it's a cliche to say the clock is ticking on Brexit, but guess what? It really is. And with 6 months to go before Britain's escorted to the EU exit, there remains little in the way of clarity. In New York this week, UK Prime Minister Theresa May said she wanted a deal, but was preparing for an epic fail.
And my job as government, I think, is to ensure that we have that we've put in place the steps that make sure that if it is that worst case scenario, actually we will still make a success of it.
Trouble is, in Brussels, EU negotiators have rejected May's Brexit plan as unworkable, as indeed have around 80 members of her own party in Parliament. The political arithmetic twisted further when you add into this week's mix a Labour opposition gunning for a general election.
If Parliament votes down a Tory deal, or the government fails to reach any deal at all, we would press for a general election.
If not a general election, no deal would likely see demands for a second referendum, including the option to remain, becoming significantly louder. After all, during the referendum campaign 2 years ago, voters were told Brexit would be the easiest thing in the world and there'd be loads of money to be saved. It hasn't worked out that way, and from the European mainland this week, they still called for clarity.
Wesentlich hängt es natürlich auch davon ab.
What is important is what Britain really wants. The discussion there is not so clear.
Eindeutig.
As far as most other European Union leaders are concerned, the UK's asking the impossible. The best bits of the EU and its marketplace of 500 million people without the EU's rigid rules. While there's 6 months to go before Britain officially leaves, the reality is that legally binding decisions must be made within the next 6 to 8 weeks. The Prime Minister believes that's not impossible, but it is a pretty tight deadline, particularly as there's no agreement here in Parliament, among the parliamentary ranks of the Prime Minister's party, or indeed around the cabinet table. Richard Bestick, CGTN, London.